Welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. For years now, the American Press Corps has gotten very comfortable injecting its own high-minded opinions into their objective coverage, slowly pulling the United States further and further to the left. For decades, it had been mostly subtle. We knew the media had a liberal bias, but you could still trust most of the content. 10 years ago, Republicans still read the Washington Post. They watched CNN. Compare that to today, where we are now fully polarized, choosing our content based almost purely on political affiliation. After Trump made his enormous splash into politics, media bias was no longer subtle. Trump, the political outsider, exposed the American press as puppets of the state, and their rage toward him afterwards was palpable.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus?
Come on, Sarah, you're a parent. Don't you have any empathy for what these people are going through?
Mr. President, will you apologize for Central Park 5?
Trump, will you apologize about January 6th?
If an American president loses more Americans over the course of 6 weeks than died in the entirety of the Vietnam War, does he deserve to be reelected?
Why are you pitting Americans against one another, sir?
Crazy to look back at what it was like. For 4 years, the White House press briefing was the hottest show on TV, as an enraged media tried to destroy the man who shook up their cozy relationship with permanent Washington. Now Trump is gone, permanent Washington is back in full control of the country, and the press briefing is back to boring. But there is a new disruptor enraging the mainstream press, Elon Musk, who paid way too much money for Twitter to simply wake us all up from the Matrix, and to counter the vicious assault being leveled against the people of this free country by the dangerous marriage between our media and the government. Elon Musk has been labeled a right-wing zealot for having the audacity to open your eyes. They call him a zealot despite having never voted Republican in his entire life. In reality, Musk is simply a protector of this country's most cherished ideals, which are under assault by the powerful. Recently, Musk labeled National Public Radio as state-affiliated media and labeled BBC as government-funded media. Both outlets, as you have seen, took great offense. BBC even sent a reporter to Twitter's headquarters, where Musk destroyed his preconceived narrative of Musk's political motives, reminding him that the BBC was pressured to avoid saying lockdown by conservative President Boris Johnson, who also asked the BBC for harsher coverage of the nation's left-wing Labour Party.
And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy? Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, so... you thought it wasn't?
Quite a moment. Does that sound like a right-wing zealot to you, or just somebody that wants to challenge the narrative? The BBC's freelance reporter then asked why Musk is engaging in the very dangerous practice of allowing free speech on his platform, an idea that was fundamental to the fabric of this country and all free societies until about 10 minutes ago. The answer to that did not go well at all.
You said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And
well, then how did you see that hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one, not even one tweet. And yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
that's a false.
No, what I claimed...
You just lied.
What I claimed was...
Oops. Another liberal reporter full of manufactured left-wing rage. Newspapers are filled every day with stories by these types of people. Twitter is full of hate speech. Name an example. The truth is, Musk simply changed Twitter's algorithm, so people of one political ideology are forced to see more opinions from the other side. If you've used it lately, you've noticed this. Twitter is no longer just an echo chamber. Conservatives are handling this just fine. Insecure liberals are losing their minds, screaming hate speech at their computer in tears if somebody claims there are only 2 genders. Viscerally offended to see an opinion that wasn't filtered to their exact specifications by old Twitter, which was basically a daycare for America's biggest crybabies. And then there's NPR, whose post-Trump identity has become an embarrassment to journalism. NPR announced that they were quitting Twitter today after being outed and humiliated, labeled state-affiliated media, a title they so so rightly deserved, NPR decided to take their ball and go home. The CEO, John Lansing, saying NPR stands for freedom of speech and holding the powerful accountable. It is unacceptable for Twitter to label us this way. A vigorous, vibrant, free press is essential to the health of our democracy. And we expect he actually said that with a straight face, although we can't confirm that. In reality, NPR has only two agendas: fighting to the death to protect Washington's uniparty, which has corrupted NPR to its core, and perpetuating Marxist ideals designed to crush American freedoms so that uniparty can grow even more powerful. Nobody fought harder to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story than NPR, releasing a condescending statement at the time saying they didn't want to waste their audience's time. Last 4th of July, NPR broke with a 33-year tradition of reading the Declaration of Independence, choosing instead to fuel further racial division in this country and examine equality in the United States. A pro-Israel watchdog considers NPR to be the most seriously biased mainstream media outlet based on NPR's consistently anti-Israel viewpoints. NPR coverage of Trump's border policies revealed their true open border agenda. And when Fidel Castro died, NPR gave a eulogy resembling that of a grieving widow. One of the most prominent international figures in the last half of the 20th century, Castro inspired both passionate love and hate. Many who later lost faith in him can remember how they once admired the man who needed just a dozen men to launch the Cuban Revolution. That's how NPR remembered a man who slaughtered his own people to hold on to power as they starved. Why? Because NPR agreed with his ideology.